So this is a new segment called The Big Boom Theory, a radio essay. And the title of this radio essay is Building Character, Reading Characteristics, and Attacking Character. So basically, building character, reading character, and attacking character. So Jam, where was the starting point, and how did you start to think about this topic, this idea? Well, growing up, my mother immigrated from Panama. So I am a first generation American, as they call it. She was learning English, and it became her second language. And, we're talking, it doesn't really matter what decade, people was going to be prejudiced, people going to be discriminatory, people going to be downright racist, whatever era that we're in. But let's say, let's picture ourselves in the late 80s, 90s, you know what I mean? My mother, young, beautiful thing, she would open up her mouth and, folks would instantly discriminate just based on how she spoke. She was trying her best to communicate in the dominant culture, the dominant language, and still folks would just find something to ridicule someone about. So my mother, knowing this, and instead of saying, F everybody and forget it, I get out the mud, she decided to instill in me at a very young age a gem. And the gem was this. It's a saying. She said, Jam, little Jammy. She said, don't judge others based on how they look. Based on what you can see, skin color, size, clothes, because, everyone has an up and down day, everyone, but don't go in the world and flock to a certain type of person based on this external identifier. Instead, judge a person or gauge a person or assess a person based on their character. Now, me at my big age, I'm seeing how that gem alone saved me from a lot of BS. You know what I mean? Well, just me being multi-ethnic and growing up in a multicultural household, I just knew I wasn't black enough to hang out with the black kids. I wasn't Spanish enough to hang out with the Spanish kids. I just learned from an early age just to be me, just to do me. And being in that line of reasoning, really focusing on what it means to build my character from a young age, I've been able to assess the type of friendships, the type of relationships, the type of business partnerships that I'm getting myself into as far as wading through this crazy, crazy world. And instead focusing on the intrinsic, focusing on the internal, because we all have this. We all have this invisible self, this self that you look yourself in the mirror, or you could try it right now. You can just sit right here and you can say a whole sentence inside your head. Who said that? Now, this is what I'm getting at. And again, building up this radio essay to say, let's go into the mechanics, the inner mechanics of ourselves. And from here is where we start to understand performance, politics, and power. So being in this world and being, again, at my really, really big age is to say, I'm going to practice and put this into practice right now for myself, because we're in a world where a lot of folks are flocking, birds of a feather flock together. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we're all thinking the same, that we're all assessing information the same. So building character comes with, it comes with a lifelong practice, if I can be completely honest. It's something that you want to put on a routine, because every single day is an uphill battle. Every single day you might not wake up on the right side of the bed. So it's really taking into consideration the time of the day, the time of the season, and assessing what sort of characteristics are you showing throughout your day. When someone thinks about you, they're thinking about what you've done for them, and they're thinking about how you feel about them. I'm focusing on this inner world right here. So building character is really taking the time to assess what are my characteristics at a certain part of the day, at a certain part of the year. Assess yourself based on your environment. Oh, I know when I'm at school, don't talk to me. I know when I'm outside, that's the time when I'm feeling social. So it's just taking that time. It can be your personal practice. It can be your spiritual practice. It can simply be how you engage with the world, but making sure that you are first starting with yourself and assessing yourself, building your characteristics. When it comes to building as well, you got to get rid of some scraps. I know as we get older, it's time to get rid of some traits that didn't work back in the day. Don't nobody want to see a 40, 50, 60-year-old who is a victim. You know what I mean? Who plays the victim. No one wants to see that. So it calls for a moment for you to take accountability and for you to grow up. So this is building your character. Now, reading characteristics is when you step outside. Now, a lot of us have to learn this the backwards way, in saying that we learn to read other characters first, and then we're building our own character from that. But I urge you to first start with yourself before you point. You know what I mean? It's that saying, you point your finger, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. The next step is to read other characters. Once you know who you are, once you're established in yourself, you go to work, you talk to this one person, you're there to get your money, and that's it. That's when you can start to assess and to read other characters. Now, 9 times out of 10, you're going to find that other people are not taking the time to assess their character, to assess their characteristics. This is when you can start to gauge who is for you, who is not for you. And this is just an internal practice that we're doing already. But what if we went into the workforce or went into the world already knowing this? We could save ourselves a world of hurt versus judging people on the back end of things, just as far as, oh, what they look like, what they smell like. Well, sometimes, people are deserving of that. They smell a little bad, keep your distance. But again, I'm talking about a changing world for us to come together versus for us to separate. And lastly, the last part of this essay is called attacking character. And this is what leads into the next point, talking about power, talking about politics. Once we understand that we are accumulating characteristics throughout this life experience and we learn to read and assess characteristics from other folks, this is when we get into the lane or the debate of judging and attacking characteristics. Now, have you ever been in a situation, again, I'm just going back to work, co-worker type of situation. You've been in a situation where someone didn't like the way that you handled your job and you almost want to take it personal. Either they stepped you aside a little one-on-one, or within the big family group meeting, we had a discussion and someone singled you out. This is an idea where folks nowadays, we're taking that personal. Oh, this person must not like me. Oh, why you single me out? Why you do it like that? No. Well, I do want to first gauge this and say, we're attacking first the characteristic. Maybe this characteristic didn't align with what this person ideally thought about how you should go about your job and how you should go about your duty. Instead of attacking the person, we're all prone to make mistakes. We all ain't shit. It is understanding what characteristics do we display, especially when we're amongst each other. I mean, last time I checked, I want to display my best self. So then this can also come a time when someone else can hold you accountable for how you were acting for your character. And last time I checked, characteristics can always change. We're always building. So this is the starting point of a new radio essay titled Building Character, Reading Character, and Attacking Characteristics. And this is the start of the Big Boom Theory. Did y'all hear that? Yeah, I heard that too. All right, we're going to move into our next segment.